In ancient China, there was an old man named Yugong who lived in a remote village. Despite being 90 years old, Yugong was still robust and energetic. In front of his house stood two towering mountains, Taihang Mountain and Wangwu Mountain, which blocked their way out, making every trip a cumbersome detour. Yugong often sat in front of his house, gazing at the two mountains, pondering how to change this predicament. One day, he gathered his family and villagers, standing before the mountains, and said earnestly, "These two mountains bring too much inconvenience to our lives. I have decided to spend the rest of my life removing them. Even though I am 90 years old, I believe that as long as we persevere, we will eventually succeed." At first, his family and villagers were skeptical, but seeing Yugong's determination, they decided to support him. Yugong's sons, grandsons, and even some neighbors joined in this daunting task. They worked from dawn till dusk, using the simplest tools to dig and transport soil and rocks. Their hard work moved many villagers, and more people joined this great endeavor. One day, an old man named Jiji passed by and saw Yugong and his family digging the mountain. He laughed and said, "You are so old, it's hard for you to even walk. How can you possibly move these two mountains? This is sheer stupidity." Yugong paused his work, wiped the sweat from his forehead, and firmly replied, "Even if I cannot complete this task, my descendants will continue. As long as we persist generation after generation, one day we will flatten these mountains. Compared to these two mountains, our manpower is infinite." Jiji, dismissive of Yugong's words, shook his head and left. Yugong continued to lead everyone in digging the mountain. Day after day, year after year, Yugong and his family's sweat soaked every inch of the land, but they never gave up. Whether in scorching summer or freezing winter, they relentlessly and steadfastly worked. Yugong's perseverance and determination eventually moved the gods. The Emperor of Heaven, upon learning of this, sent two mighty deities to help Yugong. They took only a few days to carry away Taihang Mountain and Wangwu Mountain, moving them far away. From then on, Yugong and the villagers could travel conveniently without taking long detours. The villagers rejoiced and held a grand celebration for Yugong, thanking him for the significant change he brought. Yugong's story spread widely in the village and became a model for future generations. His persistence and never give up spirit taught us that with determination and perseverance, any difficulty can be overcome. Over time, the story of Yugong moving mountains spread widely, becoming an important symbol in Chinese culture. This story educates future generations that no matter how difficult the challenge, as long as we are fearless and persistent, we will eventually achieve success. Yugong's spirit inspires generation after generation, becoming a model for courageously facing difficulties and challenges. In distant ancient times, there was a forest surrounded by mysterious legends. In this forest, there lives a young and hard-working woodcutter. His days are like a stream in the forest, calm and continuous. Every day, he carries an alum axe on his shoulders. Its edge is like a frost blade under the moonlight, sharp and strong. The job of a woodcutter is to cut down trees and sell the wood for daily necessities. However, on a turbulent day, a storm of fate is coming. The woodcutter was cutting down a tree by the river, but his axe accidentally fell out of his hand. Like a shooting star, it streaked across the sky and finally disappeared into the embrace of the river. The woodcutter's heart sank to the bottom of the river. He knelt by the river, looking helplessly at the water, with loss and anxiety flashing in his eyes. Just as the woodcutter was desperate, the water surface began to fluctuate, and a water god appeared carrying golden light. The golden axe in his hand is like the messenger of the sun god, shining with the light of hope. The water god's gaze penetrated the woodcutter's soul and asked, "Is this your lost axe?" The woodcutter shook his head firmly, and in his heart was only the old axe that had been with him for many years. The water god smiled and picked up an axe as bright as the moon from the bottom of the lake to test the woodcutter's heart. This axe shines with a mysterious light, as if it contains infinite possibilities. The woodcutter shook his head again, his eyes shining with determination that was not moved by gold and silver. He told the water god that his axe was neither gold nor silver, but an old axe that had witnessed the woodcutter's sweat and tears. The water god's smile became even brighter, and he handed the old axe back to the woodcutter. Seeing the familiar axe, the woodcutter's eyes were filled with joy and emotion. He happily said that it was his real axe, because it had accompanied him through countless days and nights. The water god appreciated the woodcutter's honesty. Seeing the familiar axe, the woodcutter's eyes were filled with joy and emotion. He happily said that it was his real axe, because it had accompanied him through countless days and nights. The water god appreciated the woodcutter's honesty and returned the axe to him. The woodcutter bowed deeply and thanked the water god for his gift. The water god was moved by the woodcutter's honesty and decided to give him all three axes. The woodcutter was greatly surprised by this unexpected gift and expressed his deep gratitude to the water god for his generosity. He decided to keep the golden axe and the silver axe, and he would continue to use the old axe to chop down trees and bring warmth and prosperity to the village. With these three axes, the woodcutter returned to the village. His story soon spread among people and became a good story. The villagers were curious about the gold and silver axes in his hands and came to watch one after another. The woodcutter patiently told them about the gift of the water god and the beautiful legend about the golden axe and the silver axe. The woodcutter's honesty and kindness made him a hero in the village. His story, like the golden and silver axes, shines brightly and becomes a legend that has been passed down through the ages. Whenever night falls, the villagers gather together, listen to this beautiful fairy tale and feel the power of honesty and kindness. In a distant village, there lived a diligent farmer named Aurin. Every morning, as the first rays of sunlight pierced through the leaves, bathing the village in its warm glow, Aurin would rise early, ready to begin a day of hard work. His fields were vast and fertile, planted with an array of vegetables and grains, each plant representing a dream from his childhood that needed careful nurturing. Aurin was filled with a deep love for his agricultural career. It wasn't just a job, it was a connection to the land itself, regardless of the weather, whether sunny or overcast, whether the fields were tough or yielding. He approached each patch of earth with kindness and determination. Even on scorching summer days, when the sun beat down relentlessly, he never complained. He believed that diligent labor would yield a bountiful harvest, and this belief was his unwavering motivation. However, one cold winter day, Aurin's life took an unexpected turn. As he trudged through the snow towards his fields, he came across a pitiful sight: a snake, injured and unable to move. Aurin's heart brimmed with compassion. He knew this creature needed help. Gently, he scooped up the snake and cradled it in his coat, deciding to bring it home. Back at his house, Aurin wrapped the snake in warm blankets and offered it some nourishing food. Gradually, the snake regained its strength, its eyes shimmering with newfound vitality as it gratefully regarded Aurin. From that moment on, the snake became a part of Aurin's household, freely slithering around the rooms, exploring its new world with curiosity. Aurin continued his farming duties, and the snake adapted to its new life with his companionship. Each day, Aurin would give the snake warm hugs and food, ensuring it felt the warmth of home. As night fell, the snake would curl up by the fireplace, basking in the cozy warmth of the hearth, drifting off into peaceful slumber. However, one morning, Aurin awoke to find the snake gone, his heart filled with worry as he searched frantically, eventually finding the snake nestled in a corner of the barn. But as he approached, the snake suddenly reared its head, baring its fangs in what seemed like a defensive posture. Aurin was shocked and disappointed. He couldn't believe the snake he had once rescued would react this way. Yet, in that moment of despair, Aurin realized something profound. Kindness does always beget reciprocation, but that doesn't diminish its value. Everything he had done stemmed from a place of genuine kindness and compassion, without expectation of reward. Even though the snake had left, his acts of kindness remained, sowing a seed of goodness in the world. Standing at the barn door, watching the snake disappear into the distant fields, Aurin's heart gradually found peace. Despite losing the snake's companionship, he knew his kind heart still guided him towards a brighter future. This story reminds us that true kindness comes from within, not from external rewards. No matter the circumstances, the seeds of kindness will always sprout and bloom into beautiful flowers. In a distant world, There was a small village surrounded by vast forests named Brockton. The villagers were known for their diligence and harmony, and the guardian of this village was a 10-year-old tailor named Aurin. Aurin was a prodigy in the art of tailoring. He could always mend torn clothes with skillful hands, making them look as good as new. However, Aurin harbored a dream, a longing for adventure. He yearned to seek his own adventure in the vast world, to find his own legend. One day, a mysterious traveler arrived in the village. He wore worn-out adventurer's gear, his face covered in dust and sweat. The traveler told the villagers of a terrible crisis facing a distant kingdom, where a fierce dragon was ravaging villages and towns. The villagers listened to the traveler's tale, feeling overwhelmed by the impending disaster, but helpless to do anything about it. Aurin looked at the anxious faces around him and made a firm decision. He approached the traveler and declared, "I am willing to confront that fearsome dragon." The villagers were astonished at Aurin's courage. Some even laughed at him for being too young, too naive. But Aurin's eyes shone with determination, his resolve unshakable. After obtaining his parents' permission, Aurin packed his belongings and set out on a journey to the dragon's lair. Along the way, he encountered many hardships, but he always overcame them with courage and wit. He met wizards, warriors, and elves, learning valuable knowledge and skills from each of them. Finally, when Aurin reached the dragon's lair, he witnessed the terror of the beast firsthand. It was a dragon as large as a mountain, its black scales shimmering with a cold light, its eyes filled with ferocity and majesty. Yet, Aurin did not falter. He took up his needle and thread, beginning to craft a special trap. In the days that followed, Aurin and his newfound friends embarked on rigorous training and preparation. They forged weapons and armor, devised intricate tactics, and honed their skills and teamwork. Finally, the day arrived. The dragon appeared once more, ready to wreak havoc upon the village. But this time, it met unprecedented resistance. Aurin and his companions displayed astonishing courage and wisdom, cleverly using traps and tactics to ensnare the dragon. After a fierce battle, the dragon was finally defeated. It let out a deafening roar, dissolving into a black mist that disappeared into the sky. The villagers, witnessing this spectacle, cheered with joy. They hailed Aurin and his companions as heroes, their deeds destined to be remembered for generations. From that day on, Aurin became a legendary hero in the village, his courage and wisdom forever cherished by future generations. And this story, passed down through the ages, became an immortal legend. In the distant land of Amber Valley, there lay a village known for its radiant glow of amber. The inhabitants of this village were animals of various kinds, living together in peace and harmony. Among them, there existed a renowned band called the Amber Melodies, whose music was hailed as the pride of Amber Valley. The members of the Amber Melodies band included a golden lion named Leon, a beautiful peacock named Lily, a clever fox named Ollie, and a gentle rabbit named Jenny. Each of them possessed unique musical talents, forming an unparalleled ensemble. One day, a sudden and unexpected cold spell befell Amber Valley, covering the entire village in ice and snow, making survival impossible. In this time of crisis, the only warmth and hope came from the music of the Amber Melodies. Determined to bring warmth back to their village, the band embarked on an adventurous journey to find a legendary instrument known as the Frost Lyre. It was said that this instrument had the power to dispel ice and snow, bringing forth the arrival of spring. They traversed vast snowy plains, crossed treacherous mountain ranges, and finally arrived at the mythical realm of ice and snow. In a cold castle, they found the Frost Lyre guarded by an evil snow queen. In order to obtain the Frost Lyre, the band engaged in a brave battle. Leon used his mighty strength to protect his bandmates. Lily touched the heart of the Snow Queen with her enchanting voice. Ollie employed his intelligence to find a way to obtain the lyre, and Jenny communicated with the queen using her gentle spirit. Ultimately, moved by their courage and kindness, the Snow Queen surrendered the Frost Lyre to the band. As the band played their enchanting music, the ice and snow began to melt, and sunlight once again bathed Amber Valley. With the arrival of spring, Amber Valley regained its vitality. The villagers held a grand musical celebration, rejoicing in the end of winter and the beginning of spring. The Amber Melodies became the heroes of the valley, and their music would bring eternal peace and happiness to their land. On a hot summer day, Jiji discovered a magical watermelon field. These watermelons are big and sweet, just the way Jiji loves them. But this watermelon seems a bit special. Jiji is surprised to find that this is not just a watermelon, but a secret entrance to wealth. In this sparkling cave, Jiji's adventure has just begun. Each gemstone represents a story, and Jiji is about to start his own. These little sprites have never seen such a large visitor, and they decide to help him. Wisdom and teamwork open up a new path. Every flower in this garden emits a charming glow. But the real treasure is actually the journey itself. Jiji sees his reflection in the lake water, realizing the importance of sharing. In this mysterious mist, Jiji's courage is tested. This unusual snake shows Jiji the way to the treasure. In this forest, Every tree whispers softly, sharing ancient wisdom. The water in this lake is so clear that it reflects Jubaji's kindness. This golden key is the last threshold to unlock the treasure. Behind the door is a room full of gems and gold coins, dazzling and bright. The real treasure is not gold and silver, but the time spent with friends. They celebrate together, and the watermelon field becomes a place of joyous gathering. Jubaji's story tells us that sharing and friendship are the most precious treasures in the world.